My earliest memories of footy was going down with my brother and my late father down to Fremantle Oval, watching South Fremantle play. I think it was Claremont, the Cracker brothers were on one side and Maurice Rioli and Stephen Michaels on the other side. So it was suburban warfare back then, and it was something that thrived in WA. The best decade of football, probably I'll be biased and say the 90s, the era that I played in, because there were so many great key position players that played on someone. The feeling of winning a grand final of the MCG is every boy's dream. Being the first non-Victorian side was probably a little bit more special, given that it was the VFL and the West Coast Eagles in those early years turned it into a national competition. The battles I had with Wayne Carey were pretty huge, both I guess in the media and then come game day. Probably the game that stood out the most was the first final I played against Wayne. He was the best player in the competition. I managed to get the chocolates that day and we won collectively as a group, and I was well supported by my teammates on that day. So walking off was pretty satisfying, knowing what a monumental task to play on such a good player in a final. Away from footy, I've got a business recruitment agency in the construction side of things, so I place people on a casual basis in a lot of the metropolitan projects, the stadium and Elizabeth Quays, to note a few. Operating machinery near power lines can be dangerous. It's really important you do a safety analysis to measure the height of your vehicle before you commence work. There are different danger zones around power lines, all depending on the voltage, so it's important that you stay well clear to stay safe. It's easy to miss power lines when focused on the job, so have a good look around. Before anything risky, look 360. How much has the game changed since I played? Dramatically, and a lot for the better, both on and off the football field. I guess being full-time professional athletes now, it's their daily job, it's their livelihood. Well, I don't think there's a lot standing in the way of the Eagles from winning the premiership this year, other than injuries to their key players and poor form at the pointy end of the year. But if they manage to get their right team on the track at the business end of the year, then they're as good a chance as anyone to win it.